If you are new here, welcome. My name is Michelle Pava. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. And there are 12 things that I think that you need to get rid of while you're in isolation if you haven't already, or even as the ban is lifting, you still need to get rid of these things, okay? Number one, all of the meaningless and useless tchotchkes that you might have around. I get that a lot of us have knickknacks, and in fact, you see knickknacks in the background. But the things that you really keep around you should have a deep meaning for you, not just useless things that you have around that really don't have an emotional connection. So just sort of get rid of those things. When you get rid of those kind of things in your life, not only do you have more physical space, but you also have more emotional clarity as well.
Please, please, please.
But let's just really quickly, I feel that healing should be a celebration. So if you would like to join the free Sanity Soiree, which is an app, not a Facebook group, please check out the links below.
One area that women tend to not clean out is their jewelry area. And it's because jewelry doesn't take up much space, so we feel like we never really have to clean it out much. But if you can get rid of some of that costume jewelry that you know you're probably never going to wear and it just sort of is hanging around if or one day, you start to appreciate what you already have so much more. So if you have a lot of items that are piling up and you notice that you're not really wearing them year after year, but you're just holding on to them, just go ahead and recycle them or give them to someone who makes jewelry so that they can be repurposed, or just get rid of them.
I wanted to add something here, ladies, because I know that jewelry often can connect to different relationships that we had in our lives, different memories. And this is really important because every time you go into that jewelry box or that jewelry drawer, whatever, you're going to have these triggers that are often subconscious. So if you had a relationship that made you feel bad, every single time that you see that piece of jewelry, you could be reminded. If you really can't bring yourself to part with the item, at least hide the item so that you don't have to see it and be triggered, subconsciously or consciously.
Now, number three actually fits very well with one and two. Some of the items that we have are just really inherited. We don't even know where some of these items came from. Maybe they were gifts or wherever, but we have a lot of things in our presence that really weren't something that we would choose for ourselves. So if you have things that are not something that is your style, don't feel bad about getting rid of it. It's just taking up space physically and emotionally.
I want to preface that this is just for the items that are not serving you purpose that might have a negative connotation connected to them. So if you have items from your mother or your father or a loved one in any way, shape, or form, even if they're not your style, but if you have a strong emotional connection and they serve you in other ways, definitely keep them.
Now, that was more of the materialism. So let's go into the physical. During isolation, how about getting rid of junk food? A lot of people go for snack food because it's a nervous energy type of eating. I would prefer you to not have as much junk food around. If you go to the grocery store, try to eat something before you go so that you're not super hungry and grabbing that junk food, which is very, very addicting. Most junk food has some level of MSG. MSG is very addicting. And so if you're hungry, you're going to go for the addiction, not so much for the nutrition. That's how they get you. So start breaking up with junk food. Also, while I'm at it, get rid of junk people. People that are in your life only when they need something, people that use you, people that aren't necessarily nice to you. People show their true colors under stress, and maybe their true colors are not so beautiful. So don't feel bad about distancing. You don't have to make it a drama, but you can definitely distance from people that do not serve you in a supportive way. There's a lot of people out there that are very self-righteous, who think that their way is the only way, and they might actually be arrogant enough to reach out to you to tell you how they feel about what you do in a very toxic way. Get rid of them. Goodbye.
I know that it is easier said than done to distance from someone who is toxic. I have links below to help you to learn gray rocking and no contact and how to create a drama-free distance.
Now, we were just talking about junk food and junk people, but let's talk about the healthy food that you're never going to eat. I'm not really a fan of quinoa, so if I have quinoa in my house, it's going to sit there for a long time. It's going to take up shelf space, and it's going to take up emotional space every time I look at it. So have healthy food, but really just keep healthy food that you're actually going to eat. Because every time you see healthy food that you're not really going to eat, it could actually even bring on shame because you feel like you should be eating it because it's healthy. 3 things in mindset that you need to get rid of. Labels. Usually when people are living too much in a label, it's kind of not a good thing. For instance, being a minimalist. If your whole identity is wrapped up in being a minimalist or being a certain religion or a certain type of job, the minute you identify as a label, you start to revolve a belief system around yourself. And it makes it very hard to be creative, and it makes it very hard for you to accept change. So get rid of the labels. So you can still have a minimalist lifestyle, but calling yourself a minimalist is sort of, I don't know, it's just not a good thing. There should be a lot of facets to you. So the minute you label yourself as one thing, you're kind of ignoring a lot of the other facets that make you an incredible person. So that is one thing to get rid of. Labels. Going hand in hand with labels is the idea that you are not something. You are not healthy enough. You are not fit enough. You are not the size you want to be. All of this I'm not is actually not a good idea. So what if you have a couple of pounds to lose or 100 pounds to lose? So what if you have things that you want to do for self-improvement? We all should be working on self-improvement in some kind of way. So looking at what you do not have in life or where you are not yet is very much deprivation. So when you are living in deprivation, you are living in self-sacrifice all of the time. That is not a good place to be. So I want you to think in terms of you're working towards a goal. And so if that goal is losing weight, that you're going to eat a little bit healthier today and you're going to be a little bit more active. Having a positive mindset about where you're going is going to always be better than having a negative mindset about where you're not. Do you see what I'm saying? Another area for you to get rid of right now is shame, blame, and guilt. I lump these together because I feel like they are really interconnected. These all connect to everything I just said and for the things I'm going to say very soon. But shame, blame, and guilt are very toxic to you. So guilt is like you've done something wrong. Blame is that someone else has done something wrong and you have no control over it. And shame is that you are wrong. I have videos on all of these and exercises for you to do to help you get through those things, and I'm going to put them below. But these are great things to get rid of because once you get rid of these things, you get really free and you become more forgiving and you really step into a place of more joy and happiness. You're going to definitely feel more content when you get rid of these areas. The last area to get rid of right now, and this is a perfect time to do it because we all have a little bit more time, is spiritual. And I don't mean to get rid of spirituality, and I don't mean to say that I want you to stop believing in whatever you believe in, okay? That would be crazy. But I do want you to look at your spirituality because sometimes we take our spirituality and we turn it into something that's pretty ugly. So here's one of the things that I'm talking about: being self-righteous. Now, you might not think that you're self-righteous. You might have seen someone else and you could really detect it in someone else, someone that makes you feel bad for not believing what they believe. So if you feel that what you have is something beautiful, then just talk about how you feel about it, but don't impose it on someone else. You can preach, you can talk about it to someone who's willing to listen, but by imposing your belief system on someone else, whether it's political, whether it's religious, is never going to really make them want to be that. They're not going to really have an open mind, but by seeing you as a role model instead is going to be a little bit different. So being self-righteous is sort of that I'm up here and everyone else is down here kind of thing. And everyone has their belief system and I don't think you would like it if somebody would try to impose their belief system on you and tell you that what you believe is inherently wrong. So I just think that losing some self-righteousness is always a good idea. Going hand in hand with this is being closed-minded. So if someone is trying to talk to you and inspire you, if you immediately assume that they're being self-righteous and you're being very closed-minded, then you're not open to learning about the world around you or the very people that are in your life. So even if that person is a stranger and they just want to share something with you, just sort of be a little bit more open-minded and just understand that they're probably coming from a place of passion and inspiration, and they just want to share something that's beautiful to them. And the last thing that you should get rid of is being hard on yourself. We're seeing a lot of people that are in isolation, or they're in overwork if they're an essential, or they're in fear, or they're in mourning, or a million other things. And when we're hard on ourselves, especially in a crisis, we're only going to feel more anxiety or more depression or more overwhelmed. By being more accepting and affirming, not only of yourself, but even to other people, is going to help you keep your stress levels down. And the more you keep your stress levels down, the better your immune system. In fact, everything that I just mentioned, if you really balance most of that in your life, you're going to feel a lot better, you're going to feel lighter, and you're going to be focused on bettering yourself in a way that is accepting and affirming, not that you're beating yourself up for not being the best you can be. You want to improve your day-to-day life, but you don't want to beat yourself up. I have some links below and I have other videos for you. So subscribe, ring the bell, and let's stay connected.